Good morning and afternoon to all of you in Netherlands, Indonesia, and all over the world who are following this webinar. Goedemorgen, goedemiddag, selamat pagi, and selamat siang. On behalf of the organizer, we would like to welcome you to the first webinar series on sustainable energy organized by IA-ITB Netherlands and KBRI Den Haag, the Indonesian Embassy for the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And this event is supported as well by the Energy Academy Indonesia, ECADIN. INTPF, or Indonesia, the Netherlands Technology Partnership Forum, has held its first online conference on sustainable energy in December 2020. And today's event is the continuation of this webinar series. Today, we will cover the theme on hydrogen technology and economy in a nutshell. And therefore, we have two distinguished speakers, Professor Eniya, Dewi, and Ms. Sarah Hopkin, along with two panelist members, Pak Zainal Abidin and Pak Oki Muraza. But before that, we would like to also welcome our two honorable guests, High Excellency Meyer Vas, the Ambassador of Indonesia to the Netherlands, and Bu Ardi Stoyos Braken, the Deputy Head of Missions Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Indonesia. Before we start with the sessions, I would like to inform everyone that if you would like to have some questions or things that you would like to ask to the speakers, you could always use the chat box that you can find either in YouTube or in the Zoom that you are following at the moment. And now I would like to give the floor to High Excellency Meyer Vas to give the first opening remark of today's event. And for that, Pak Meyer Vas, I would like to give the floor to you.
Thank you, Pak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Madam Ardi Stoyos Braken, Deputy Head of Mission of the Netherlands to Indonesia, distinguished speakers, moderators, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat pagi from Netherlands and selamat sore untuk teman-teman yang ada di Indonesia. First, I would like to welcome you to the webinar on hydrogen technology and economy in a nutshell. This webinar is a kick-off program of Indonesia-Netherlands Technology Partnership Forum, INTPF, for the year 2021. Last year in December, the Indonesian Embassy in The Hague, together with the Bandung Institute Technology Alumni Network Netherlands chapter, successfully organized the Netherlands Technology Partnership Forum, INTPF Symposium. As a follow-up, this year the Embassy and the Alumni Network will organize 9 webinar series aimed to discuss challenges and opportunities on how to bridge the energy gap in Indonesia by harnessing sustainable energy technology. With growing markets, growing economy, growing energy consumption, Indonesia is ambitious to increase its use of renewable energy. We aim to have 23% of energy coming from renewable sources by 2025. On the other hand, the Netherlands is one of the world's leaders in renewable energy sector. Hence, I believe there are room to learn, to cooperate, and to further invite investment from the Netherlands in innovation and renewable energy technology sector in Indonesia. Currently, hydrogen energy technology is not well known yet in Indonesia, while the Netherlands is considered as one of the largest producer of hydrogen and supporting sustainable hydrogen, guided by the 2020 Dutch National Hydrogen Strategy. Today, we have two distinguished speakers from Indonesia and the Netherlands. My sincere appreciation to Ms. Sarah Hopkins from Shell Hydrogen Mobility Research Team and Professor Eniya Listiani Dewi from International Association of Hydrogen Energy. To complete our webinar, I welcome and thanks two panelists representing the important stakeholder in Indonesia energy sector, Bapak Dr. Zainal Arifin, Executive Vice President of Engineering and Technology at PLN, and Bapak Dr. Oki Muraza, Senior Vice President Research Technology and Innovation PT Pertamina. Guided by Professor Bayu Jayawardana as a host, I'm confident that this webinar would be able to provoke more discussion among Indonesian relevant stakeholders on the development of hydrogen technology in Indonesia. I would also like to express through Madam Ardi Stoyes Braken my gratitude to the Dutch Embassy in Jakarta for their continuous participation and synergy with us in promoting stronger bilateral relations between Indonesia and the Netherlands. I do hope that INTPF program led by Bandung Institute of Technology Alumni Network Netherlands chapter could serve as a drive engine in creating the network and coordinating the effort to accelerate the use of renewable energy in Indonesia together with partners from the Netherlands. Lastly, I would like to wish everyone a fruitful discussion, and for those of you who practice fasting in these holy months of Ramadan, may it be your food for thought while awaiting break the fast. Terima kasih. Thank you. Stay healthy and stay happy.
Thank you, Pak Mayervas, for the opening remark. And I would like to give the floor now to Ibu Ardi Stoyes Braken to give the opening remark from the Netherlands Embassy to the Indonesian. Bu Ardi.
Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi, goedemorgen, Pak Mayervas, organizers, panelists, and participants in the Netherlands, and selamat sore to those attending from Indonesia. I am delighted to be part of this webinar and would like to thank IA-ITB, KBRI in The Hague, and the Energy Academy Indonesia for your invitation to deliver the opening remarks of this important meeting. As we can experience, I hear that it's only between 5 and 10 degrees in the Netherlands today. The climate is changing and the impact is getting more severe with each passing year. We need to step up our action to slow climate change through transforming our economies. Fortunately, there is overwhelming evidence that the social, economic, and environmental benefits of ambitious climate action far outweigh the costs. Developments in the energy sector illustrate this as well. The transition to renewable forms of energy needs to play a pivotal role in our transformation. Greater renewable energy deployment will create more jobs and stimulate technology transfers. For Indonesia, the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, found that there is potential to create more than 1.3 million jobs in the renewable sector by 2030, up from just over 100,000 today. And I hope that women as much or more than men will benefit from the new jobs created. While Indonesia's progress towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 7, affordable and clean energy, is encouraging, the country is on track to reach universal access to electricity in 2021 and clean cooking by 2022, Indonesia still has enormous untapped potential to harness renewable forms of energy. In untapping this potential, Indonesia will face a dilemma. The dilemma of making choices that benefit the climate on the long run, but that may have negative economic impacts on the short run. And that is not unique to Indonesia. In the Netherlands, we also have been facing such dilemmas. For example, in relation to existing tax waivers for large consumers of fossil fuel. The government of the Netherlands has, in the end, decided to phase out these waivers, acknowledging that the transition does not only bring challenges, but also many new opportunities for our economy as well. Opportunities for innovation, for the development and introduction of new technologies, opportunities, as we believe, for an altogether different, green and inclusive economic growth path. The Netherlands is very keen to partner with Indonesia in developing its renewable energy sector. Our countries have a special relationship and a long-standing cooperation on climate resilience and energy cooperation. And this provides us with a good foundation for further action. The Indonesian-Netherlands geothermal capacity building program, for example, expresses this. This program has the goal to develop geothermal programs for education and training, research and subsurface databases. Or take the Eindhoven-based company Tidal Bridge BV, which is trying to harness electricity from tidal waves in the beautiful Larontuka Strait near Flores. A number of Dutch companies is developing biomass production and wind energy across Indonesia. And during last year's state visit, we saw the signing of an MOU between Hayat Solar BV and Pertamina on the development of solar PV. As an embassy, we recently launched a new platform to include Indonesia in the Netherlands Energy Technology Platform, a catalog that showcases innovative Dutch solutions for the renewables industry, stimulating the deployment of advanced technologies to help businesses and countries thrive as a global energy transition is unfolding. In addition, Polytechnic Negeri Bali, PNB, and TNO are jointly developing a renewable energy training center. This center will offer a solution to one of the main obstacles today, lack of renewable energy expertise and skills among industry professionals and government officials. The Netherlands and Indonesia also recently organized a climate adaptation event under the wings of the Week of Indonesia-Netherlands Education and Research, WINER. Among other things, we will intensify our collaboration with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry by having Dutch experts participating in KLHK's Climate Corner Kampung Iplin programs. We also organized a challenge for the 20,000 Indonesian Dutch alumni network to come up with creative ideas to accelerate climate adaptation efforts in Indonesia. Projects and initiatives are often facilitated with the support of the Dutch Enterprise Agency, RVO, and National Development Bank, FMO. In the second quarter of this year, the new government-owned development and finance facility, Invest International, will open its doors to enhance green investments in countries such as Indonesia. And I'm very excited about the new possibilities that this will bring for our cooperation in the field of renewables. But now, zooming in on today's main topic. Hydrogen has an important role to play as an alternative to coal, as well as in addressing key issues that limit the development of renewable energy. Hydrogen, made from renewable or low-carbon electricity, could help decarbonize those sectors that have been less amenable to electrification, such as transport and heating. Hydrogen produced in this way can be characterized as a synthetic green fuel and may part replace or displace conventional fossil fuels in the energy mix. The Netherlands is actively working on cutting-edge hydrogen technologies, such as the development of electricity storage at an unrivaled cost level, the electrochemical compression of hydrogen, advanced solutions to turn different types of waste into energy, and turnkey solutions to generate hydrogen from renewable power and water. These technologies are particularly interesting in the context of Indonesia, where around 75 million new scooters and motorcycles and 1 million new cars hit the roads every year. It's great that during this seminar, we can explore the potential of cooperation between the Netherlands and Indonesia in this field and add a new chapter to our climate action efforts and energy cooperation. I think I should stop here, but not before thanking again IA-ITB, KBRI, ECADIN, and INTPF for organizing this seminar. I wish you all an enjoyable, informative, and fruitful webinar and look forward to further developing our cooperation in this field. Terima kasih banyak. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Ardi Stoyos-Berakan, for the nice remark on the collaboration that has been going on between Indonesia and the Netherlands for the past years, in particular in the sustainable energy. And I couldn't agree more in the strong collaboration that we have had. And I could also mention some of the activities in Groningen, which is the place where I'm living, where we are now becoming the European hydrogen hub, and we will have a very big facility in facilitating the transitions to the hydrogen economy. And I think that is a nice transition to the next sessions, where we are going to have two main speakers. And we are also happy to see that we are now live streaming in YouTube, where more than 100 people are joining. Welcome to all of you. We will shortly have the sessions on the hydrogen economy as well as on the hydrogen technology given by the two speakers. And after that, it will be followed by the discussion sessions together with the two panelists that we will have today. So now for our main speaker, we have Professor Eniya and we have Bapak Oki Muraza. Professor Eniya obtained her Bachelor of Engineering. Sorry, the second speaker is not Bapak Oki Muraza, but Miss Sarah Hopkins. I'm sorry about the mistake. So Professor Eniya obtained her Bachelor of Engineering at Applied Chemistry from Waseda University in 1998, and a Doctor of Engineering in the Advanced Research Institute for Science and Engineering Faculty, Department of Applied Chemistry also from Waseda University, Japan in 2003. She has been affiliated with the BPPT, or the Indonesian Agency for the Assessment and Applications of Technology, since 2014. And she is currently the Deputy Chairperson for Technology of Informations, Energy, and Materials in the same agency. Her research activities on nanocatalysts, hydrocarbon polymer materials, fuel cell systems, and electrolyzers have been recognized by many awards. I could mention all of them now. Probably it's going to be a very long list. Mizuno Award, Ko-Kenkai Award, Asia Excellent Award, Best Scientist Award, Engineering Award, Energy Research Award, Patent Innovations Award, Habibi Award, and Habibi Technology Award. And recently she is awarded the GE Electric as one of the inspired women in STEM. She's an active board director of International Association's Hydrogen Energy and a founder and chair of Indonesian Associations for Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Energy, and was chairman of Indonesian Polymer Associations in the period of 2017 to 2020. And relevant for today's webinar, she's currently leading the National Priority Program on the development of charging stations, geothermal energy plants, and industrial salt project. And we will also have the presentations by Ms. Sarah Hopkin. Sarah Hopkin completed her master's degree in material science from Oxford University in 2016. She is currently affiliated with Shell, where she works as a hydrogen researcher working in the New Energy research team at the Shell Technology Center in Amsterdam. And her work focuses on hydrogen mobility and supply. She has experience as a materials and corrosions engineer and managing corrosions of offshore platforms in the southern North Sea within NAM BV, which is a company also in the Netherlands. I guess without any further ado, I would like to invite the first speaker, Professor Eniya, to present about the hydrogen technology. Professor Eniya. The place is yours.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Bayu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, His Excellency Pak Mayor Fas and Ms. Ardi for the nice introduction and speech, and also speakers from Shell and then PLN and Pertamina, my best friend here, Dr. Oki and Pak Zainal. Thank you for joining. And for this morning and good evening, I will share some experience in our country. How about the developing of the hydrogen technology, including fuel cells itself, and what is the opportunity also for the next plan, how we can reduce the emission. I will start my presentation here. Okay. Well, I am Eniya from BPPT. BPPT is the government institution for research, especially for applied and implementation of technology in Indonesia. We have many topics of technology, including energy, transportation, information, disaster, and also food security, and many others of technology except policy. Today topic is just only for energy, so I will share our, I will share our policy of energy. And between, I'm also the permanent member for government sector on National Energy Council. It's called DEN from this year. And I'm also talking about the hydrogen economy in the National Energy Council, and we hope Indonesia have a real foresight to implement the hydrogen or even a green hydrogen in the future. So we know that the renewable energy target in Indonesia in 2025 is 23%. Nowadays, we just only reach 16%. This issue will be challenging to come up with 23%. And we know that especially for hydrogen can be used as an alternative energy resources in Indonesia. This accordance to the government rule 79 since 2014. So the hydrogen can be used as an energy storage also. Even we can use it as for the vehicle or for the another technology implementation. Talking about the target, BPPT is always analyze the energy foresight, and we publish the energy outlook at 2020. According this analysis, fossil energy is still the main supply of energy use in Indonesia, but we know that the demand is increasing, and transportation and industry are the main users. We can look at here. The main sector is transportation, and also the industry has come up with 29%. This is very challenging, and the needs also increasing. Now we're focusing on these two sectors to create how we can supply the transportation and industrial sector for renewable energy. Talking about the hydrogen, I will give you some brief introduction about the hydrogen itself. The hydrogen energy is have a long history, more than 2000 years ago, and becoming the integral of modern refining industry. We know that the hydrogen itself is used in many industry, but nowadays the green hydrogen is more popular because we can reduce the emission in short terms. The hydrogen products, we know that from many types of the hydrogen production, even from natural gas, coal, biomass, and water, we call it's green hydrogen. When the hydrogen coming up from nuclear power or wind turbine and also solar cells using the electrolysis process, we call it the green hydrogen. And from the other electricity process, we call it the white hydrogen. And also the other process that commonly know is gray hydrogen and brown hydrogen. But if we can capturing the methane or the CO2, we can capturing the carbon, we call it the blue hydrogen. So this sector, we can use the hydrogen in many of the implementation field. It's such as in manufacturing, industry, chemistry, chemical industry, and also for the transportation. So we know about the blue and green hydrogen is now much more popular in green hydrogen, but several years ago, the chemists from Brazil, they introduced us that they found the natural hydrogen. It's a carbon-free hydrogen in the land of I think Latin America, yeah. But it's now being researched since 2018. I'm not get the recent progress from here, but hopefully this is true. But that we have natural hydrogen in the earth. Well, from this possible hydrogen production, how about the Indonesia? We know that Indonesia have a very long area from west to east. Then if we're talking about the process, how to produce the hydrogen, for example, from biomass, we can use the west part of Indonesia to accelerate the biological route because we have many plantation of palm oil. And if we want to accelerate the renewable energy from power grid using the electrolyzer route, we can use the east part of Indonesia. And talking about if we want to produce the hydrogen from nuclear or fossil fuel, it's better we use center part of Indonesia is like Kalimantan, yeah. I talk about west part, it's I mentioned about Sumatra, and then east part is Timor, like Sumba and Timor, NTT and NTB, yeah. So from the energy ministry, they said that the current price of hydrogen from renewable sources in 2010 is around 3.5 euro per kilogram, but it will be expected fall to around 1.5 euro per kilogram as respectively from the energy minister feasibility study. We know that well, we don't know yet about the feasibility study of the Indonesia, but they mentioned about the increasing of the demand also. So talking about the hydrogen, how we can storage the hydrogen if we want to use it in another application. We know that we can use the liquid hydrogen. We can use such as methyl cyclohexane as a hydrogen carrier, and also we can use the ammonia as ammonia liquid as a hydrogen carrier. Now the conventional one is compressed hydrogen between 350 megapascal until 700 megapascal. The 4 and 5, it is commonly used in transportation. But now we know that the liquid hydrogen is much more, we need to maintain the tank minus 253 degrees Celsius to maintain the cold of hydrogen. And it could be warmed up as possibility to evaporate the liquid hydrogen. And if we use in the transportation, we need a big insulation in the pipe also. This because there is a Pertamina person, Pak Oki. In 2015, Pertamina come to BPPT and talk to me about the methyl cyclohexane business. At that time, I said, yes, it is possible because it is a big future in Indonesia if we can produce the methyl cyclohexane, because it is the most popular, most efficient hydrogen carrier. At that time, Pertamina cannot decide. This is the big opportunity, but Pertamina lost it because in this and last year in 2020, Brunei already catch up that plan and then make it at Brunei, and then they deliver to Tokyo because the Japan would have the Tokyo Olympic. Well, this is the process of the methyl cyclohexane as one of the hydrogen carrier. And another one is, well, like we go to the liquid organic hydrogen carrier. Another one is like ammonia. Yeah, the ammonia is such a hydrogen carrier also, but it's still have been studied, to compare the methyl cyclohexane. But this is one of route that we can use ammonia as the hydrogen carrier also. Next, about the development of green hydrogen. In 2012, we already have a foresight for this green hydrogen in Indonesia, because renewable technology is common nowadays. And from renewable technology, we can produce clean electricity. And also, if we create the green hydrogen and the main process of the all entire chemical industry or even coal industry, we can reduce the carbonization. So we can go to the decarbonization of hydrogen production and all of the route. Talking about the green hydrogen, we need solar panel, we need a wind turbine, and also we need the electrolyzers. Yeah, the electrolyzers is the most efficient one is a PEM electrolyzer. It is a proton exchange membrane electrolyzer. It is kind of fuel cells, the PEM fuel cells, but we go reverse process, and then it can be distributed. The hydrogen is coming out from the electrolyzer. We just put the water, and then we can get the hydrogen and oxygen. In the business scheme, we can sell it the oxygen, and we can use the hydrogen from another process of industry. Maybe we can use it in high temperature process to refinery, to petrochemicals, and also food, fertilizer, many of the industrial processes. Even we can have pipelines to use it as in the transportation. So in the laboratory scale, BPPT have already have experience since 2020. At 2012, we starting to create the PEM electrolyzer, and we combine the wind turbine and solar panel. why we use the PEM electrolyzer? Because we can produce the hydrogen in high pressure. We do not need more higher compressor to storage the hydrogen that coming out from the electrolyzer. So we also join with the Japanese company to create to implement this concept of green hydrogen in our technopark. We have a renewable energy technopark that located at Yogyakarta. Now we still design it, and we still are talking about this plan because we need so large area to implement the solar panel. It is about 100 kilowatt of solar panel, and then we use the electrolyzer about 4 normal meter cubic per hours. And we're now still talking about this plan, but we hope NEDO or even Toshiba can help this one. And another our activity, because I said that we have so many palm oil industry in Indonesia, especially in Sumatra. We collaborate with PTPN 4, PTPN 3, and we used to palm mill oil effluent, the waste of the palm industry. It's called POME. We create the biohydrogen. We collaborate this project with Taiwan and also with Malaysia. We study the microbes, and then we put the hydrogen production microbes, and then we put the methane production microbes in separate tanks, and we entering the hydrogen and methane combined gas to turbine. So this is we start at 2009 since a small scale of laboratorium system, and we increase the size until 1 meter cubic, and then this year we want to scaling up to 100 meter cubic. So the next one is about the fuel cells. We know that even green hydrogen on many of the hydrogen implementation, we need fuel cells. So what is the fuel cells? Fuel cell is the process that converting chemical energy into electrical energy, and in the even ICE or even in fuel cells. And these fuel cells, comparing to the ICE, we have a much more high efficient on energy conversion. If the ICE only reach the 15 or 20% of energy conversion, fuel cells can reach up until 60 or 80%. So many types of fuel cells as we know, but the popular one is the most big implemented fuel cell is PEM fuel cells, direct methanol fuel cell, or even alkaline fuel cells. But if we use combine of the hydrogen and CO or CO2, we can use the solid oxide fuel cells. Now BPPT has concentrated the development on PEM fuel cell and SOFC. So this is the history of our research. Since 2004, we create the membrane, we create the catalyst, we create the heart of the fuel cells. We stack from the 10 watt until 1 kilowatt of fuel cells. We join with many of stakeholders, and then we create the many development of fuel cells and also the hydrogen production. So this is the type of the fuel cells that we create. Now it's still in the laboratory. We can set it up to car and also motor. We joined with industry also to implement the fuel cells. We designed the electrolyzer also, and as I mentioned before, we create the biohydrogen and bioethanol. So this is the roadmap from the solid oxide fuel cell team that collaborate with the Malaysia student also. And we doing the research of the electrolyte based on zirconium. And this is combined with the consortium of nanomaterial in Indonesia, including Batan as the member. BPPT is the member also to implement the nanomaterial in solid oxide fuel cells. So the next roadmap of fuel cells as hydrogen, we know that it's still early step to implement the hydrogen economy in Indonesia, but we have foresight that we must create the prototype, and also we want to create the mass production of our prototype in the future, but now in the stage of the education. In 2024, we hope the introduction of the hydrogen is much more popular, so we can create more big program in Indonesia. So the last one, I will share you about the vehicle development in Indonesia based on the hydrogen implementation. We know that the electric motor vehicle technology is growing, and we know the battery-based electric vehicle now is popular in Indonesia, but we still wait for the mass transportation of electric vehicle. After the electric vehicle, people know about the electric vehicle, they will asking about the hydrogen. So the opportunity of the implementation of the transportation sector, it is environmental friendly technology, and we need to safe and comfortable transportation. We know the world is entering the hydrogen age, and now many of the international event or even national event, they're talking about the hydrogen society. The challenge is, what about the infrastructure needed? We need, of course, refueling of hydrogen tank, how we can refueling it. And also, if we introduce a new technology, we need the government incentive, we need a government support, such as reducing the tax and also very big investment. But we still have a slight opportunity if we can reduce the carbon, the carbon in the industrial process. We convert the hydrogen on the industrial process right now, that we can use the emission. Talking about the roadmap of transportation, the automotive industry roadmap that have been published from Ministry of Industry in Indonesia, they still put the target of the implementation of vehicle technology fuel cells in 2030. So we can reach this target to burn the spirit of the hydrogen guys, yeah, in Indonesia. Well, this I want to yes. I want to show you the motorcycle that we have created in 2009. We put 500 watt of PEM-FC at here, and the hydrogen storage by nickel metal hydride at here. And we're running this motorcycle with a consumption of hydrogen, 1 liter hydrogen per kilometer. We can reach up 750 kilometers in one charge. Yeah. if you guys in Indonesia, please come up to Serpong. Yeah, you can use this motorcycle to get around the Serpong. This is our BPPT facility, research facility of Indonesia. We can, you can see BPPT, LIPI, Lapan, and Batan, and so on. So, sorry. The next one, I will show you the mobile vehicle hydrogen. We modified the electric vehicle and then change it to the hydrogen. We use the PMFC of 1 kilowatt in this type of mini car. This is our groups in laboratory. We do testing of fuel cells. We do the repair of the fuel cells, and also we have a group to convert the electric vehicle to the fuel cells vehicle. We also have a group to convert from the ICE to the EV. So this group is very active, and we also have many students here that doing the research on fuel cells. This is the video that you can see. It's very silent. It's like electric vehicle, and we now still calculated what is the consumption of hydrogen here, because it depends on the humidity. It depends on the electricity usage. Yeah. Well, okay. The last one is a fuel cell golf car. We put the 2.5 kilowatt of fuel cells, and we use the motor voltage of 48, but still ongoing progress. We convert the EV to the fuel cells. This is our thing. I thanks to Mr. Diros Pak Hamid, yeah, to doing this work. Sorry, can I have still 1 minute? The application of fuel cell itself in Indonesia, it's done by PT Kaskadian. They have 800 fuel cell implemented in BTS, separate in Sumatra, Jawa, and also Timur. So this is the biggest one in the world that we use fuel cells as a backup power of BTS. They implemented 5 kilowatt of fuel cells to convert the genset, the use of solar. So the good one is people cannot steal the battery, or people cannot steal the genset, because it's located in the remote and also wherever it is. But if we change to the hydrogen, they only see the red tank of the hydrogen, and it's writing down dangers, so people cannot steal the fuel cells. So in Jakarta, in BPPT, we have also implemented the 5 kilowatt of fuel cell as a backup server on our data center. And also we try to have methanol fuel cells in Yogyakarta. This is still working. What is the next plan? I will show you our dream, yeah, because we have many development of biofuel also. You know that the Sumatra have so much potential of bioenergy. So the next one, why we cannot create the new idea to implement the hydrogen. We now have a highway in Sumatra from the Lampung until Aceh, and we have a big LNG plant at here. It is could be the hydrogen highway in the future if we use many of the this, even not green, right? Even not green, but we can use it. We can develop the hydrogen highway at here. And that was on west side. What about the east side? The east side, BPPT have many renewable energy pilot plant site. Even we have geothermal, even we have PV and wind turbine located at Baron and Sumba and the Serpong, and also geothermal and Lahindong. We can put some idea at here. We can use the photovoltaic at Bilacenge, create with BPPT right now. In the future, we suggest our stakeholder to create the green hydrogen from here. So because the east of Indonesia, we can even put the wind turbine. We can have many potential of Indonesia if we use solar and wind. And we can combine with the hydrogen production using PEM electrolyzer, so we can manage the intermittent of the electricity that can be delivered in the stable one if we combine the hydrogen storage and then PV and also wind turbine. So what can we achieve towards the net zero emission of Indonesia in 2070? I hope Indonesia need more green hydrogen for industrial application. We now have biodiesel B30 program. We have methanol production, and we have the growing of the chemical industry. So if we can use green hydrogen, the carbon neutrality can be achieved. So Indonesia also must push down the CO2 emission from transportation for using EV or FCV. Reducing from power generation to use renewable, and reducing from the industry, we can create green hydrogen and CO2 capture. So in 2024, I agree with the Ministry of Energy to stop build a new coal power generation. So that is my talk today. Thank you for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Bu Eniya thank you Bu Eniya for the nice presentations and a clear overview on the development of the hydrogen technology in Indonesia, as well as the build-up of a number of demonstrators. And I'm very happy to see how it is being deployed in Indonesia currently. And now I think it's time for us to go to the next speaker by Miss Sarah Hopkin. And I would like to invite you to start your second presentations. All right, Sarah, the time and place is yours.
You hear me okay?
Yeah, it's clear.
Great. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I hope you and your families are safe and healthy in these difficult times. Thank you for inviting me to present today, and thank you to the distinguished speakers who presented before me. You've had a great introduction to hydrogen technologies and opportunities for hydrogen in Indonesia from Professor Eniya. And I will give you today an introduction to Shell's experiences so far with a number of different hydrogen technologies in the Netherlands. My colleague Zaki is here today as well with me as a representative of Shell Indonesia. So thank you for joining me, Zaki. So before we begin, a quick word from our legal team. Today we're going to be talking about the future, and with that comes a lot of uncertainties. And as such, I'm obliged to share the following disclaimer notes with you, and please visit shell.com for more information. So I'm going to start today's talk by giving you a quick introduction to myself and the general opportunities for hydrogen in the future energy system. And then I'll talk in more detail about how Shell is advancing research and development opportunities in hydrogen. And then I'll close with a couple of examples about where we've been implementing some of those technologies in the Netherlands. So before I talk about hydrogen, a little bit more about me. This is me in a past period of my working life. As Professor Bayo mentioned, I'm a materials and corrosion engineer by background. I started work in Shell's upstream gas extraction business in the Netherlands in 2016, before happily moving into Shell's hydrogen mobility and supply chains research department at the Shell Technology Centre in Amsterdam. My team is engaging with a number of different technology developments and opportunities, which include desktop research, practical experiments, and many joint industry collaborations and research programs. At the bottom, you can see one of my colleagues refueling one of our hydrogen vehicles at the Technology Centre in Amsterdam. And I'm here today to talk to you because of my role currently managing the department's technical assessments of new hydrogen technology companies. And I also look at the technical challenges of hydrogen pipelines. So we know the world's energy system is changing. We have a growing population with rising living standards who need more energy. And at the same time, the world is seeking to address climate change by making the energy it uses cleaner and reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving air quality. For Shell, these factors are equally important. The combination of more and cleaner energy is central to what Shell does today and what we plan to do tomorrow. And hydrogen has a critical role to play in delivering energy while also lowering CO2 emissions and helping us to fulfill our ambition to become a net zero emissions energy business by 2050 or sooner. Our recent Sky scenario brings further to the surface an emerging trend of collaboration to tackle major global issues as signaled by the 2015 Paris Agreement. The Sky scenario outlines what we believe to be a technologically, industrially and economically possible route forward for society, consistent with limiting the global average temperature rise to well below 2 degrees C from pre-industrial levels. And it presents a possible primary energy mix for a net zero emissions world, looking from today through to 2070. And as you can see, there's a possibility for a significant increase in renewable power sources such as solar and wind. And this is very important for the development of a hydrogen future. Around 99% of hydrogen today is produced from fossil fuels, so-called grey hydrogen. However, hydrogen can also be produced in a number of other ways, including converting biogas produced from organic waste through steam methane reforming, which can be combined with carbon capture and storage to produce blue hydrogen with low overall emissions. Alternatively, you can also produce hydrogen from electrolysis, powered by renewable sources, which you then call green hydrogen. One of the main obstacles to producing green hydrogen today is cost. However, as demand increases, the cost of hydrogen is expected to fall through economies of scale as the cost of solar power, wind power, and electrolyzers decreases. Shell has a growing hydrogen business, and to support this, the project and technology organization that I am a part of is engaged in a number of different hydrogen research and development activities. So as I mentioned, one of the main obstacles to producing blue and green hydrogen today is cost. Shell's ambition is to increase the amounts of renewable energy used to create green hydrogen via electrolysis or from biogas. Shell is developing a portfolio of electrolyzer projects to scale up and de-risk green hydrogen production from tens of megawatts to gigawatt scale. This scale up will help to decrease the cost of green hydrogen. And that's why Shell is already working with a number of partners to integrate offshore wind with hydrogen to realize green hydrogen hubs in the Netherlands. So one example of this is the Rotterdam electrolyzer. This is a 200 megawatt electrolyzer to be installed at the port of Rotterdam. The Netherlands is an excellent location for an integrated hydrogen project, as demonstrated by this example, combining the renewable power from the North Sea with an industry looking to decarbonize and replacing grey hydrogen with green hydrogen at the Shell refinery in Pernis, and potential future applications in the trucking sector. There are other activities going on in other locations in the Netherlands, including Groningen, as referenced by Professor Bayu earlier. The expectation is that this offshore wind project in the Netherlands will produce enough renewable electricity, and following the success of the wind farm, plans are also in place to build this 200 megawatt electrolyzer at the port of Rotterdam. Oops. Another challenge of hydrogen is one of timing. For hydrogen to succeed, it requires synchronized development of both supply and demand, as well as the supporting infrastructure such as hydrogen pipelines for transportation, carbon capture and storage technologies, and production facilities. This requires coordination among public and private organizations, not just at a local level, but also the national and international levels as well. As part of the development of hydrogen networks and as part of my team in the hydrogen supply chain team, Shell Hydrogen is also working closely with partners to deliver the world's first liquefied hydrogen carrier. So this ship will be a demonstration case for potential large-scale distribution of hydrogen between Australia and Japan. Shell's experience and expertise in transporting liquefied natural gas across the world is key for us to develop a hydrogen supply chain that includes liquefied hydrogen. The Hydra project is the world's first demonstration of bulk intercontinental liquid hydrogen shipping. The ship has a capacity of 75 tons of hydrogen and is just over 100 meters in length. To execute this project, Shell has partnered with a number of Japanese companies. Hydrogen is a base vector in the future energy roadmap of Japan. And we're hoping that Shell will become a partner of choice for liquid hydrogen commercialization going forwards. So hydrogen is also an increasingly appealing option for the parts of the transport sector where other low carbon alternatives are of limited use. Hydrogen has a high energy density, making it particularly suitable for trucks, for trains, for ships, any vehicles which carry heavy goods over long distances. In California, Shell is part of a consortium that is developing 3 new large capacity refueling stations for heavy duty hydrogen fuel cell trucks in collaboration with Toyota and Kenworth Truck Company. These stations will form the first hydrogen truck refueling network in California, and in doing so they will help to reduce emissions along a heavily polluted road that connects the port of Los Angeles with a major warehouse complex. Shell is also part of several initiatives to encourage the adoption of hydrogen in light-duty transport. To date, we have focused on markets where Shell has a retail presence and where there is customer appetite for hydrogen vehicles. In these markets, Shell has teamed with partners in the energy and automotive industries, whose projects have support from government policy and funding schemes. Shell's 2017 hydrogen study concluded that in 2050, there'd be 113 million fuel cell electric vehicles, which could save up to 68 million tons of petrol and almost 200 million tons of carbon emissions per year. This would make a significant contribution to reducing energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions in the transport sector. In Germany, for example, Shell is a member of the Hydrogen Mobility Joint Venture for developing a nationwide network of hydrogen fueling stations for passenger cars. The venture already operates more than 80 stations across the country, with plans to reach 100 through 2021. Like battery electric vehicles, hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles, FCEVs, including passenger cars and buses, are powered by electricity and so produce no harmful emissions from their tailpipe, only water vapor. In the longer term, hydrogen can help to reduce well-to-wheel CO2 emissions from the transport sector, provided the hydrogen production methods result in little to no harmful emissions. Shell has also opened 8 hydrogen refueling stations in California, with a 9th due to open in 2021. This number is set to grow in the future in California. We also have hydrogen stations in Canada, in the Netherlands, and in the UK. The picture of the hydrogen refueling station here is in the UK. Hydrogen-powered cars can cover long distances, and they only take a few minutes to refuel at a retail site. In these vehicles, energy is stored in the form of compressed hydrogen fuel rather than as a battery. External collaboration is another vital aspect of our work in developing technology. We work very closely with our customers, suppliers, and our joint venture partners. We also have 4 types of partnerships focusing on innovation, and this is something I work very closely with in my day-to-day role with, for example, with Shell Game Changer, which works with businesses that are just starting up, where the team helps to foster startups' ideas and projects, and in turn the companies bring new approaches and new thinking into Shell. We then invest in more mature enterprises through Shell Ventures, and it is attractive for businesses to work with Shell because the collaboration offers more than just funding. It gives them the opportunity to grow by increasing the scale and application of their technology, and the opportunity to deploy technology across our assets. We also have an innovation called Shell TechWorks, and this consists of a team of specialists who come from outside the oil and gas industry, from fields such as consumer and medical products, robotics, defense and aerospace. And they help with the deployment of new technologies within Shell and its supply chain. So this hydrogen is a very fast moving area. There's lots of new developments and significant interest to get projects started as soon as possible, but it's important not to compromise safety for speed. One project cannot be designed and developed in isolation, just as hydrogen is not going to be 100% of the energy mix in the future. Projects are very powerful when designed to fit with others to allow the overall development of the hydrogen and energy supply chains. As I mentioned, collaboration is very important. We have a number of internal programs to advance technology and to support the energy transition. But it's also important to ensure collaboration, not just internally, but between companies, between industries, governments, and regulators to stimulate technology developments moving forwards. I encourage all of you to take the opportunity to learn as much as possible, and I am excited for the future of the hydrogen industry, not just in Indonesia and in the Netherlands, but also across the world.
Thank you, Sarah, for a nice overview on the activities by Shell, not only in Netherlands, not only in Asia, but also in the world. It's good to know that Shell is very active now in the energy transitions ambitions to the renewable energy. Now I think it's time for us to transition to the next sessions, which is discussion sessions. And in the discussion sessions, we have 2 panelists, and I would like to welcome them, Bapak Zainal Arifin and Bapak Hopkin Muraza. And we also happy to see that there are already a number of questions posed by viewers in YouTube as well as in a separate Zoom meeting. And if you still have some questions, you can still post your questions in the chat box of YouTube and Zoom. So let me first introduce the 2 panelist members. The first panelist member, Bapak Zainal Arifin, he completed his bachelor in mechanical engineering at Institute Teknologi 10 November in Surabaya in 1994, and he obtained MBA in operation management from University of Missouri at St. Louis in 2010 and PhD in strategic management from University Indonesia in 2016. Bapak Zainal Arifin is currently the Executive Vice President in the Engineering and Technology in PLN, and also sit as a Board of Commissary of PT Indo Tenaga Hijau, which is one of the company within the PLN group. He's responsible for the technology assessment, engineering study, and in-house innovations in the company. He chairs the implementations task group on smart grid already since 2016, and he leads the infrastructure development for electrical vehicle in PLN since 2013. He not only active in company, Bapak Zainal Arifin also has teaching passions. He teaches also in a graduate program on power and renewable energy at the Institute of Technology PLN, and also energy systems engineering at the University of Indonesia, his own alma mater. That is the short biography of Bapak Arifin, Zainal Arifin. And Bapak Oki Muraza, on the other hand, he completed his bachelor in chemical engineering at Institute of Technology Bandung and he's actually the same cohort as me, coming from the year 1996. So it's nice to meet you, Bapak Oki Muraza. He completed also masters in chemical engineering at TU Delft and a PhD in chemical engineering at TU Eindhoven shortly after in the Netherlands. But I presume this is a chance that you leave Netherlands when I'm moving into the Netherlands. So we do not have a lot of time to interact with each other, where he is continuing his career as an associate professor at King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals in Saudi Arabia from 2010 to 2021. And he is now a senior vice president on research and technology innovations at PT Pertamina. And congratulations for these recent positions that you have held recently, Bapak Oki Muraza. And I think now the way I'm going to try to organize the discussion sessions is that I'm going to allow the panelist member potentially to ask questions to the main speakers. And it could be also both ways. If there are some active discussion between the two parties, I would love to promote that. And I will also pose some questions afterwards from the viewers at home before we move back again to the panelists. So now I would like to invite Bapak Zainal Arifin maybe to pose the first questions to the speakers, or maybe to start the discussions. Bapak Zainal Arifin?
Yeah, thanks, Prof. Bayu. Yeah, thank you for Prof. Eniya and Sarah for the excellent presentation. Yeah, actually, as utility company, PLN actually concern how we can utilize hydrogen for powering electricity. Yeah. Maybe my first question related to both speakers. Do you have some experiences in some exact location? Yeah, there is technology has been utilized hydrogen to create powering electricity and large scale, maybe more than 100 megawatts. Maybe this my first question.
So maybe we ask that question. Probably Professor Eniya, can you respond to the questions by Bapak Zainal Arifin?
Okay. In my experience, it's on Japan and on Canada or US, Pak. It's but the efficiency is not good, yeah, for economy. But I think the biggest one is in Japan now. I'm sorry, I cannot mention the scale of the electricity power that can be created. The biggest one as big as 100 megawatt. Maybe Sarah have
maybe Sarah could complement to the answer from Professor Eniya from the experience from Shell.
So Rhineland refinery in Germany, we're also installing currently a 10 megawatt PEM electrolyzer, but the plan is to scale that to 100 megawatts over time. As Professor and I mentioned, there's a number of projects that I'm aware of also in the US and Japan, and I think also in the Middle East.
Okay. Bapak Arif.
Yeah. Can I can continue our discussion? Yeah.
Yes.
Prof. Bayu, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, based on our study, the most challenging issue with the hydrogen utilization in Indonesia consists of many things. Yeah, the first thing is about the condition of electricity supply in Indonesia is already over capacity. So it's not easy, little bit challenging to put the hydrogen system in our grid, our existing grid. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, because right now for 62,000 megawatt, yeah, we have already over 13,000 megawatt reserve of electricity cannot be used, yeah, because maybe the demand is very low, yeah, and also maybe the planning is too optimistic, yeah, at the past. Yeah, that's the problem. So based on this condition, overcapacity of electricity, and the bad news is not coming from renewable energy like in Europe. You can utilize hydrogen to be a green hydrogen because Europe has overcapacity of renewable energy. But in Indonesia, we have different case. We have similar overcapacity, but coming from the coal-fired power plant. So it means maybe we can still utilize, but not the green hydrogen yet. Maybe we already know well, maybe brown hydrogen, yeah. We can utilize that, yeah. So we can utilize the overcapacity coming from the coal-fired power plant, maybe not for directly producing electricity, but to be a hydrogen storage system. Yeah, this is only this is my personal opinion. Yeah, can you give some idea about this my personal opinion?
Okay, so basically what you are saying, Bapak Zainal, is that there is an overcapacity on the electricity productions from the fossil fuels, and you are trying to think on how to explore the possibility of having the productions of a brown hydrogens to convert the overcapacity to the hydrogen productions. Maybe Professor Eniya or Sarah would like to respond to that.
I can have a first
Go ahead, Sarah.
response. In the Netherlands, there's a concern that the demand for electricity in the future is not going to be able to be met using the current electricity grids that are in place, and hydrogen provides an alternative method of moving energy around that can use, for example, the existing natural gas grid, and to use existing infrastructure without having to build additional electricity capacity. Hydrogen produced from fossil fuels can be made greener by or bluer by capturing the carbon that's produced during the hydrogen during the production, for example, if through the SMR production, capturing the carbon and then storing that in a suitably long-term storage system to avoid at least the emissions of the carbon into the atmosphere. And that may be one alternative method to use the overcapacity.
Yeah, I think that's kind of partly answered the questions from Bapak Zainal. And maybe Professor Eniya, is there anything that you would like to add on that?
Well, in Indonesia, we accelerate the electric vehicle to consume the excess electricity from PLN, right now. But in the term of the hydrogen, we just only say that, well, maybe PEM electrolysis would be the answer, but we must study the economic scale of that. Yeah, because the current electricity produced from coal, so as you say, not the green one, but
Okay.
That is
Go ahead,
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with Prof. Eniya. Yeah, actually, the most challenging issue basically is about the economic, the financial feasibility using hydrogen. Because Indonesia, we have done with several studies about how we can utilize hydrogen. Maybe at not the large scale, yeah, because our existing grid is not feasible yet, yeah, for implementing this green hydrogen yet. But we have still have choices, yeah, for implementing the hydrogen system to the microgrid, to the some isolated island areas, yeah. But the problem arises, yeah, because it's about the scale of economy. So we have discussed, and also we already had some proposal coming from the Japanese company. At the time, I have proposed at least 9 locations, microgrid, yeah. This can be utilized hydrogen combined with the PV and also still use battery. The problem is, you know, the LCOE, electricity produced for this technology, still relatively higher, even higher than the existing electricity produced by diesel engine. I can give you a number, yeah. So based on the 9 location microgrid, yeah, the capacity less than 3 megawatts. If we use a diesel engine, maybe the LCOE, levelized cost of electricity, is about 19 or 19 cents per kilowatt hour. At the time, the Japanese company came and we have discussed several times, and after that they came with the proposal about the hydrogen storage with PV and small battery. But the problem, the price is still 29 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's not feasible, yeah. It's not solution for us. So how we dealing with this problem?
Yeah.
Because and we have other company, yeah, coming from French company, yeah, French company, and they said at the time they would be able to produce electricity lower than the Japanese, yeah, but the scale should be larger. They need at least 50 megawatt. Oh, it's not easy to find the 50 megawatt, yeah, for building the system in Indonesia right now. So how we dealing with the economical feasibility, yeah, trade-off between the scale of economy and also with the sizing of the capacity. Yeah.
Okay, so
that's the problem we have.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Zainal Arifin. If I may summarize, what you try to raise the issue here is the economic feasibility, both on the end, at one end on the use of brown or blue hydrogen productions, and on the other hand is on the potential deployment of the hydrogens into the microgrid in a small islands. These questions will pop up later as well in some of the questions from the viewers from YouTube, but I will get back to that point later on. And maybe I would like to move to Bapak Oki Muraza. Maybe now you would like to have another point of view or questions that you would like to raise in these discussions. Bapak Oki Muraza?
Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Bayu. Thank you for the kind lecture, Prof. Eniya and Sarah. I would like to also to send greetings to Pak Dubes and Ardi, who are representing both of our governments. And Pak Zainal, ya, salam kenal Pak Zainal.
Yeah,
so yeah, so basically we can divide the hydrogen into 3 streams, right? The gray hydrogen that we use in Indonesia, we produce it from natural gas, and we utilize it for hydrogenations, hydrodesulfurization, hydrodeoxygenation, mostly for refinery to produce our fuels. And then we have also the blue hydrogen. Yeah, in blue hydrogen, basically we need to utilize the CO2 which is produced here. Within Pertamina Group, we are trying to utilize our CO2. We do have pilot projects for CO2 enhanced oil recovery, and also we try to explore CO2 for enhanced gas recovery. This will leverage the level of hydrogen from gray to blue hydrogens. And also we do have some initiatives to utilize the CO2, CO2 utilizations. So the closest one for us in Indonesia is the blue hydrogen. We do have some interesting market for blue hydrogen. And then the other hydrogens, the green hydrogen, this is also interesting, with a note that the electrolysis will utilize the cheap, affordable electricity. Within Pertamina Group, now we are discussing how can we utilize cheap and affordable electricity from geothermal. Now, the question is, how can we increase the production of blue and green hydrogen? For green, let me start with blue hydrogen. Blue hydrogen, actually, we have very good opportunity if we can produce from natural gas, and then we can market the blue hydrogens, for instance, to Japan. But of course, this we need the study from the government, Prof. Eniya and colleagues from government agency. We need to see how the government will support these activities, exporting blue hydrogens. For instance, if we export it in the form of ammonia, of course, we need to have a blessing from the government, because the ammonia in our country is also not in excess. To be precise, close or a deficit. So this is some of the policy framework that we may need from the government, and maybe from study from the PPT, Prof. Eniya. And then for the green hydrogens, if we can tap some of the excess, Pak Zainal mentioned about the excess of electricity. So basically, within, if we can localize some of the electricity from geothermal, for instance, and then we use it to for water electrolysis, and then we get the green hydrogen. This is still possible if we can find a specific market. Sarah's presentation was also quite broad, including the fuel. For specific market, we can still find it in Indonesia. But for fuel, as mentioned by Pak Zainal, I think it's quite challenging, because now the price of gray hydrogen is less than $2 per kilogram. And then basically the price of the green hydrogen is at least $6 per kilogram or even more. So if we get the technology transfer from developed countries, maybe Sarah, you can propose to Shell to put the price of the license to close to zero first, just for the how to popularize how to make the hydrogen first in the pilot, and then we can speak with the OEM, the manufacturer of the vehicles, and the governments, and then we need to see how can we develop the techno-economic studies for hydrogen fuel stations. I think that will be doable. So two questions, one for Prof. Eniya, how can the government support the hydrogen in terms of policy, be it for when we utilize the excess electricity, and then when we would like to export hydrogen in the form of ammonia or the methyl cyclohexane. Yeah, mostly actually some of the Japanese counterparts invited us for discussion about this. Yeah, but we need to see how these initiatives will be supported by the government. And for small question for Sarah, actually the vision 2030, in which that they predicted that the price will be lower than $6 per kilogram. We in Indonesia, we need to expedite the research, and then we would like to learn if there is a possibility of technology transfer, especially in suppressing the cost of electrolyzer.
Yeah.
I think that those are two of my notes, Prof. Bayu.
Yes, thank you, Bapak Okimuraza. So maybe I would like to invite Professor Eniya to respond to the first questions. Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Oki, for many notes from you. And my team is now doing this. We're preparing for this kind of discussion with Pertamina, yeah. And we as the government side, I really suggest to the government to push the policy to go to the hydrogen economy, because they need some regulation to achieve the net zero emission. And now from this year, I do as a permanent member for a National Energy Council also, and we will talk about that in terms of the making the government to make a good policy to accelerate the implementation of the hydrogen, I think. And the second one is to Pertamina have opportunity to export the energy carrier of hydrogen, yeah, the hydrogen carrier. I think it is a good business, but now it's only in Japan, yeah, that have a big market for the hydrogen, because they're focusing on the hydrogen economy in Japan, and they need supply from other country to make the hydrogen transportation doing well, and they need the hydrogen carrier in liquid. I think that's the point. If from Indonesia can make that plan as a business, is a good one. But what I think we must do the study for the business scheme first, yeah.
But I think one of the questions from Bapak Oki is a bit more on the regulatory part, since there is a conflicting demand from the Indonesia itself on the, some of the carrier to be used in the country, but on the other hand, there's an opportunity to export it. So now, is there any possibility from the Indonesian agency to support the export possibility? Am I correct, Bapak Okimuraza?
Yes, yes. We need the framework, the policy framework to explore these initiatives, Prof. Bayu.
Yeah. And Professor Eniya, do you have any idea whether such a...
Yeah, but until now, government still not talk about the hydrogen economy. That's why maybe in the next days, as I will talk this to Dan and also to other stakeholder in energy ministry. But we know that general in the energy ministry, ESDM, is already have a study to see the hydrogen economy. Maybe from that, yeah. Prof. Bayu, yeah.
Probably that is also one of the framework to allow the hydrogen economy to roll off, probably. So maybe I would like to move on to Ms. Sarah Hopkin. Could you address the questions on the licensing part? Because I think this is related to the recent project plant of Pertamina in the building up of the geothermal plant to convert it for the hydrogen. I think that is one of the recent activity from Pertamina. Am I correct on that, Bapak Oki?
Yeah, Prof. Bayu, we do have a couple of initiatives, but yeah, I'm still new, so I would like to. I will check if there is initiatives
Okay.
on that matter.
Yeah, and Sarah, maybe you can address the questions from Bapak Oki or Mr. Oki Muraza.
So the question was about lowering, how to lower the cost of electrolysis.
How to lower the technology transfer cost from the Netherlands to Indonesia, so that it can be tested in some of the pilot plant, and to allow for a scale up of the productions of the blue hydrogens productions, or green hydrogen production. Yes.
So electrolysis isn't my area of expertise, but I think it's I think there's quite a good the impression I've got being in the hydrogen industry just for a year has been that there's been a lot of interest in collaboration in order to work as quickly as possible to lower the costs of electrolysis. How specifically that can be applied to transfer technology to Indonesia, I'm not sure. I'm sure that there exists possibilities to do that. Going back to the previous discussion about hydrogen carriers, I also had a thought about that. I think there's an LNG industry in Indonesia as well. I saw from the map in Professor Eniya's presentation, and that using the knowledge of the existing liquefaction technologies can also be potentially interesting to look at to transport hydrogen as a liquid rather than as a carrier within ammonia, for example.
Okay.
Those are my thoughts. I'm happy to look up, investigate the electrolysis question a bit more.
Okay, so maybe there's a follow-up discussion.
I think Rihad has some thoughts that might be able to contribute to that discussion.
Yeah, so probably we could have a follow-up discussions maybe after the Zoom on looking at the possibility of involving a Shell Technology Center in one of the plant from Pertamina. Maybe that could be the conclusions of your answer, Sarah. Am I correct?
Yes, I think Rihad may have something to say now that may be able to add to that if there's time for Rihad to make a couple of comments.
Okay. Okay, so I would like to move on to because we have a lot of questions from the audience, and but still I would like to return back to the panelists because it's good that the discussions is continued. So we have plenty of questions, and then I would like to do that in the chronological way. I think that's a fair way to do that. So I would like to start with the first questions, and the questions is coming from Ignatius Rendioko. And the questions is addressed to Professor Eniya. Basically, the questions is as follows. How can we guarantee the supply of hydrogen to the microgrid power systems, especially for the remote islands and isolated area? So this is precisely similar to the comment by Bapak Zainal Arifin. So Professor Eniya, could you shortly respond to these questions on guaranteeing the supply of hydrogen for the microgrid power systems? Is it possible?
The one way, yeah, the one way is using the PEM electrolyzer system, yeah, from that Shell also done in Rotterdam. It's one way that we can supply the green hydrogen and electricity in that case. But this in the experience of Japan, they have some one isolated island. I do not remember the place, but they introduced the system of on the remote remote and isolated area in one island. But the problem come up with the economic scale. Yeah, if we have a big demand and then we use a big more than 10 mega from the from PV, it could be much more efficient to use the electrolyzer, but the PV scale is more big than 10 mega. That's what I have in study. If it is good if we have photovoltaic more than 100 mega, it would be economic. And if we go with the system of the electrolyzer.
I think the questions here is not about producing hydrogen, probably. It is a bit more on how can we guarantee the supply of hydrogen when the microgrid probably is powered also by the PEM, probably.
You mean that the delivery of the hydrogen gas?
Yes. So is it probably that's the question about.
And the example of the fuel cell implementation as a backup station?
Yes, probably something like that. So how can we guarantee a good supply of hydrogen in the islands of Indonesia, so that such a kind of a microgrid would always be
okay. Yes. As the experience of Cascadian that setting up the fuel cells as a backup power in BTS, they located at the many type of the remote area, and they change the supply of the fuel cells from the hydrogen to methanol. So they put some small steam reforming beside of fuel cells, and then they change the feedstock from the hydrogen gas to methanol. That easy to carry, not delivering the high pressure gas, but delivering as a liquid of methanol.
Okay.
But the methanol concentration is only 3%, so it's mostly water.
Yeah. Okay, clear. So there is basically, if I can summarize, there could be a possibility of changing the feedstock, and that could also be considered in the deployment of fuel cells in the remote islands, right?
Yeah, because it is difficult to deliver the hydrogen gas in remote. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And I would like to go to the next question. Next question is from Ananda Setio Ivananto. And again, this is addressed to Professor Eniya. You are becoming very popular today, Professor Eniya. And the questions is about the additional 12 gigawatt coal-fired power plant in Java and Bali over 5 years. So there will be excess of power, as Bapak Zainal Arifin has mentioned on the overcapacity. Do you think it's a good time for hydrogen technology to be implemented in Indonesia? So it is a bit more on the vision questions. Professor Eniya, can you talk that?
Hopefully the excess power of electricity from PLN could be used, not only for electric vehicle. We can use to create the new business line to produce maybe oxygen and the hydrogen.
But it remains then a challenge, as Bapak Zainal Arifin has mentioned before, that to scale up in order to absorb such an excess of electricity is still to be explored further, at least in the coming 5 years. Okay, so now I would like.
I think in PLN.
Go ahead.
Can I add something?
Yes, go ahead.
Why PLN not to export the electricity maybe to Singapore, or because Singapore they need the electricity from Australia right now. They're planning to have it, but why PLN cannot sell the electricity?
Okay.
Yeah, I try to answer it. To answer Prof. Eniya question. Actually, Singapore only need our natural gas, not our electricity. I don't know why, yeah, because we already export our natural gas, but they don't want to accept the electricity yet.
Okay, so it's a bit more on the bilateral agreement between the two countries, probably. I see. Okay, and then I would like to move on to the next question, and then I will get back to the panelists before we move again, probably if time permits, to another questions. I would like to pose questions from responder in the from a viewer in Zoom, and this is addressed to Sarah. And the question is, what would be the consideration factor or important modalities of Shell in choosing international locations to develop hydrogens? And also the question is there any hydrogen program for Shell in Indonesia? Sarah?
Yeah, so thanks. It's a great question. So far, a lot of the hydrogen work that we've been doing so far has been concentrated in areas where Shell has a lot of existing activities. So production, refineries and retail, combined with those areas that have a customer base that are interested in the hydrogen technologies. That's been kind of the focus as far as I can see at the moment. I'm not aware of a specific hydrogen program for Shell in Indonesia at the moment. Maybe Zaki on the call has some, my colleague Zaki has some thoughts about that as well. It's been interesting today to hear my perspective on hydrogen so far has been quite Europe focused in the past year. So it's been interesting to hear the perspectives from somewhere else in the world today as well.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for a short response on that. And I would like to move on again to another questions. Also for Sarah from Hamid Budiman, also from the Zoom session that we have here. The questions is as follows. The cost of the hydrogen productions through electrolyzer is still expensive. And in that regard, what is your opinion in competing with other electricity generations process? How can this technology can be compete to that?
So
it's a general questions.
General questions. I think bring the cost. So the technology developments to bring down the cost of electrolysis is very important. I think that's one very key way of allowing green hydrogen production to compete more successfully with other energy sources. Bringing down the cost of renewable power, it also obviously has a big impact on the overall cost of the hydrogen that's produced out of electrolysis. I think it's also important to keep in mind that hydrogen is not likely to be the solution, the energy solution for every decarbonization strategy. But I think where hydrogen has a very important part to play is in the areas that are difficult to decarbonize otherwise. So areas where actually electricity generation isn't the competitor, where green hydrogen can be used to in synthetic fuels, in as for chemical sources, to decarbonize heavy industry, heavy mobility, heavy duty mobility, so trucks, long distance transportation, shipping. And I think that's a very important area to focus on for decarbonization for hydrogen. I think bringing down the cost of electrolysis is important, but I don't think everywhere electricity is going to be the competition.
I agree with you, and I have a follow-up question to that, because this is also a relevant topic that you just mentioned just now about how or what are the optimum use of hydrogens in the hydrogen economy. It is also a question from Firman Bagja Juangsa, and the question is as follows. Suppose, of course, we know that hydrogen is a promising energy storage, but now what would be the optimum utilizations of such a hydrogen as a carrier? Would it be useful or more optimal in the use of it in the transportation systems or as in a vehicle, or should it be used morely on the carbon-free hydrogen-based industrial processes or power plant? Any particular response to that? So we have two ways on deploying the hydrogen, either for a transportations network or for to use in the heavy industry. Maybe I would like to start to Professor Eniya.
I think Indonesia right now is to the decarbonization of the industry. It's much more feasible, yeah. The next use of transportation is not right now, because we concentrated to electric vehicle. We cannot distract the focusing to change to the hydrogen. But I think in Indonesia right now we need to use the hydrogen technology to decarbonization. It's much more better than
in the heavy industry. Okay.
Yes.
Sarah, do you have comments or response to that?
I think I agree. I think as I in my previous response, I think that was most of my thoughts on the topic. I think one other area that hydrogen can be very useful is in as storing energy. It's from what I've seen, it's a more efficient way of storing energy over long term compared to electricity, and being able to balance the intermittency of an electricity supply by storing hydrogen. For example, if you're looking to store energy from a renewable system, I think that's another advantage of where hydrogen can play a role, as well as in decarbonizing heavy industry.
Yeah, so I agree to that as well. I would like to return back to the panelists, and maybe I would like to start with Bapak Hopkin Raza. As a closing questions or remarks, would you like to post an additional questions or remarks to both speakers, or maybe to the other panelists member?
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Bayu. So basically, I think we all agree that the decarbonization is one of the solutions for the climate change. And in this case, hydrogen is also having very crucial role. Yeah, but the basically now we have some homeworks. How can we expedite the research in order to reduce the cost? Because at the end, depend on the type of market. If the type of market is the business to business, they may accept as long as it's still within their economic concern. But if it is a business to user, the crucial part will be the affordability. Yeah, especially in Indonesia, we need to consider the GDP, the income per capita that we have in Indonesia, in such a way that the fuel which are released to the society will be affordable for the society. So we basically, from scientific point of view, we do have a lot of homeworks. How can we expedite the research, be it in the productions and distributions, in such a way that we can suppress the cost of the hydrogen production. Now, we do have low-hanging fruits, yeah, or quick wins, such as the blue hydrogen. This is something that doable, basically. So many energy company, yeah, such as Shell, representing the international oil company, and also Pertamina, representing the national oil company, we are working towards the CCUS, so carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So this CCUS is basically the enabler for blue hydrogen. Yeah, so blue hydrogen is coming, and we do hope that with the advancement in science and technology, the cost of CCUS will be lower, and the cost of production of hydrogen also will be lower. So blue hydrogen is something which can be executed quickly. For green hydrogen, I think it's still coming back to the price of the fuel. So we need to compete with the current price of hydrogen, which is produced from steam reforming of methane. So the price should go lower, close to $2. Then it will be a good time for marketing. I think here the key is the collaboration and technology transfer. So in Indonesia, we would like to learn how to move also towards that direction. How can we produce electrolyzer cheaper, etc., etc. So basically, yeah, we still have a lot of homeworks, and we need to expedite by having collaboration. Synergistic effect will be good for this. We need to utilize, be it the triple helix or pentahelix, in order to expedite the hydrogens. Thank you, Prof. Ayu.
Thank you, Bapak Hoki Muraza. And I have received a message as well that there might be a follow-up discussions, in particular on the lowering cost of transfer of the technology from Shell, coming from someone who is working in Shell Netherlands. But I think due to the limitations of this webinar, I would like to put it on the side, and maybe there will be a direct communication between you and the corresponding persons from Bapak Rihat Pasaribu. And maybe I would like to give the floor to Bapak Zainal Arifin to give the remark and comments.
Okay, thanks, Prof. Bayu. Actually, we are open for every type of technology who can contribute to improve our efficiency, to decrease our electricity production in Indonesia. Instead of economical challenging issue for utilizing hydrogen, I think for utilization hydrogen for powering electricity, we still have some challenging issues, technical issue. For example, if we talk about the large scale of powering electricity from the hydrogen system, maybe the problem is the power generation, the fuel cell itself. If we talk about the 100 megawatt, more than 100 megawatt, I think it's very challenging for fuel cell, for dealing with this scale of capacity. So far, I think we still have some solution, so we can use some other technology like gas turbine, for using this hydrogen to producing electricity. I have colleagues still work in NREL, National Renewable Energy Laboratory in Oklahoma. They're still working on the hybrid system for the hydrogen power generation, combining fuel cell with the gas turbine. And so far, I heard that the research still on the research, and this research is still the only one, research in the world for providing the best solution for the hydrogen power generation in large scale. And maybe other technical issue is about, if we talk about the electricity supply coming from the hydrogen system, we will have some tough competitor coming from the other technology. For example, based on our study and our experimental, that we for the storage system, hydrogen has the tough competition with the existing battery storage system, like lithium ion, like vanadium redox flow battery, like that. So in terms of the capability, and the most important thing about the financial feasibility. So I think we still should waiting for certain time to wait for the time that the hydrogen for the power generation will come to compete with other technology in a large scale of power generation in maybe not Indonesia, but also in the world. And also we actually, I agree with Pak Oki that and also with our distinguished speakers that the key is collaboration. We cannot do alone, we cannot work alone to improve the performance of the existing hydrogen technologies so far, so we need some collaboration. In PLN, we are very welcome you all, if we can do a joint research or join some pilot project in our showcase around Indonesia. We welcoming you for doing that. I think that's all of my closing speech. Prof. Bayu, thank you.
Thank you, Bapak Zainal Arifin, for the closing remarks from PT PLN. I think it's time for us to wrap up the first webinar series of today. I would like to thank all of the main speakers, Professor Eniya, Ms. Sarah, Bapak Zainal, and Bapak Oki for the contributions to the discussions, as well as all the viewers in YouTube and in Zoom who have contributed as well to the discussions. For the viewers in YouTube who would like to have the certificate, you could fill in the attendance list by filling in your name, and later on the certificate will be delivered to you. And finally, as a closing remark, as mentioned by Bapak Mairfas and Ibu Ardi Stoyos Braken, and together as well with the comments from all of the panelist members and the presenters, the technology partnerships is urgently needed to allow us for a successful energy transition to the renewable. And not only in the developed country, but also in the developing countries such as Indonesia. And it should not be developed in isolations, as what Sarah has mentioned before. And the potential of hydrogen as an important energy medium in this energy transition ambitions has been presented by both presenters and discussed further during the discussion sessions. The technology-wise, the hydrogen technology has matured now, and we have seen a number of demonstrators shown by Professor Eniya, conducted in Indonesia successfully. And of course, further works are underway, and we are looking forward at the bright future where hydrogen will become part of the solutions, one of the solutions to the energy transitions ambitions in the coming decade. And for that, I would like to invite you all as well to our next webinar, which will take place next month. And the theme of next month is on the ocean energy. It is still within the context of sustainable energy, and we are going to discuss more on the ocean energy next time. And for that, I would like to thank you all for the contributions, and I wish you all a pleasant day and selamat berbuka puasa. Thank you. Ini udah off ya?
Sudah.
Ah,
Alhamdulillah sudah lancar. Thanks
Alhamdulillah.
all for participating, Mas Bayu.
Oh yeah, thank you for
Well done.
For all of your
Good moderation.
help. It's a bit difficult, to be honest, to post all of the questions. There are so many questions.